Do you think genitals define gender?
No.
No.
I beg your pardon?
Why?
Gender is a societal construct.
I beg your pardon?
If genitals don't define gender, why does removing them affirm it?
So a person will feel more affirmed if they change their genitals, and it'll help affirm them societally.
So would you say then genitals do define gender?
No, I don't think so.
Still say no.
No.
So what do you have to say to the person that says you are what you're born with and you just need to accept it?
Fuck you.
Stop it. Get some help.
It's always interesting how their logic falls apart. These people are just completely deluded and brainwashed. That's why you should always say you don't identify as someone who uses pronouns or these made up genders. If everyone did exactly what this man was doing, we would have no problems on the roads. Everyone should take note right here.
What is a woman?
God.
Starting with you, go ahead. We'll actually do this around the table.
Anyone who wants to identify themselves as a woman.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Oh man. Anyone who wants to identify as a woman.
Is a woman?
Sure.
So what is a woman? So a woman is somebody who identifies as a woman. So
yeah, that's circular logic. Yeah. No.
And
I know.
I guess I'd bring it back to you on that too.
Man, you're honed in on her. I think that's a good one.
No, well, you gave this pretty much the same answer.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We generally agree.
So
speak.
So what?
Speak,
so
woman.
your answer was a woman is anybody who identifies as a woman?
Yeah. I just don't think like I'm in a position to dictate how others feel. So that's my kind of mental.
Okay, Malik.
A woman is an adult human female.
A woman is a biological female.
A woman is a biological female or...
We have a problem!
A woman is a biological female or someone who completely transitions into a woman.
What an odd thing to say.
A biological female, but I also agree because there's women, but there's also trans women, which you're asking what is a woman. So my answer would be a biological female, but there is the other side of it.
A woman is an individual whose sex corresponds with that of the only sex which can produce offspring.
Socially, I think so. I think the disconnect a lot of times is that if you ask a trans woman or a trans man, are you a woman or are you a man? Socially, I think they can be. If you're presenting fully, it doesn't matter what's down there, that's, I guess, you and your partner's business. But if you're presenting fully, then... if you're presenting...
Well, let me just ask you a simple question. Can you be a black man?
Can I?
Yeah.
No.
Can you center up a little?
Why not?
Because I'm not.
What if you present yourself as being one?
I mean, if I fully committed,
That would just be blackface.
yeah, like if I literally could become one, sure. Like all I'm saying is that if.
What do you mean become one?
Okay, wait. What I'm saying is that if there is a person or a trans woman just going about their day, whatever, and you didn't know that they were a trans woman, I would say socially that they could be considered a woman just for the sake of just having it easy. I'm not gonna...
So if I showed up at a party and I pulled a rabbit out of a hat, does that mean that socially I could do magic? Or would I just be presenting an illusion?
I think a little bit of both. If you could trick people. I'm not saying that it's not an illusion.
If you can trick people, right, if you can trick them. So it wouldn't change the fact of the matter. It would be a trick.
No, correct.
So if you presented yourself as a black man, would that be the fact of the matter or would it be a trick?
It would, I guess, be a trick.
It
So
would be
I
a
guess
trick.
maybe I miscommunicated of like, you cannot physically I can't physically become a black man.
So then how come a man can physically become a woman ever? Or a woman physically become a man?
I think surface level they can. Like they
Well,
can't.
what does that mean, though? That just means that they're
Looks.
tricking you, right?
Yes, definitely. Just tricking
So
you.
what you're saying is that there are some people out there who can trick you into believing a thing which is not true.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then if that's the case, then I agree.
The thing is, let's not play no games here. All these chicks know what a woman is, but they just don't want to say it. And I know they're picking away at brain cells trying to find one to give the answer, but they don't want to give it. You could have a bunch of kids on this platform who would tell you what that is. And he's exactly right there. All it is an illusion, like a magician playing a trick on society.
You think you're seeing right now? You're not really seeing. No, you're an illusion.
What do you identify yourself as?
I identify as a cis girl and bisexual.
How about you? Bisexual trans woman. What do you think is the best thing about being bi?
The options. I get to choose literally whoever that I like and obviously likes me back.
What's the best thing about being trans? Oh my god, I've got both worlds. I lived growing up as a male and I got to experience what that was like, and now I get to see the other side. It's a whole nother world, different rules. It's beautiful. I understand all sides.
Let's use our quiet voices, please. Calm down. Stop acting like a child, and I will.
Describe a hateful thing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
Got him.
They went that way.
Okay, male or female?
Neither. They, them.
What?
That's their pronoun.
Okay, so how many were there?
My God, one, you idiot. They're non-binary.
So does non-binary have a hole or a pole? We just need to clarify. They who? Who them? Where why? Who's who? Who's who? They, them, or who? We're having pronoun trouble again.
I know this is only a skit, but it's hilarious because it's so accurate, and this is literally how police are going to be in the coming years, because this stuff is getting out of control.
I want to just state that for 5,000 years BC, Gala transcribed and androgynous trans priests of Sumerian goddesses have been around and noted. 200 to 300 years before Christ in ancient Greece, there were gods worshipped by Gali priests who wore feminine attire and identified as women. Since we are standing on Anishinaabe land, Turtle Island, which is the nation that we live under, has
I don't live under
two-spirited
Turtle
people.
Island.
All right, well, maybe you should read a little more Indigenous knowledge books. Indigenous communities have used two-spirit personas for the entirety of their culture, and so that leads me to my question. When you say that transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely, I ask you, Mr. Knowles, how can we eradicate something that has been here as long as humans have?
Well, yeah, there have been all sorts of crazy, terrible ideas for a very long time, too. You're pointing to civilizations that committed human sacrifice, okay? Yes, that's true. There were all sorts of terrible tribes. In fact, as recently as a little over 500 years ago, the Aztecs here in the Western Hemisphere slaughtered 80,000 people in a sacrifice to one of the demons that they worshipped within the span of 4 days. That's not a recommendation of doing that. I don't think that we ought to consider it. How does one know that someone with the total physical appearance of a man, how can one know that that person really is a woman? Do you have an answer to that question?
To clarify, you're asking how can somebody know if they are a woman?
And how can I know if that person is a woman? If not by the physical attributes, their natural and enduring biological sex. What's the alternative to that?
So my response to you is then a question of, what is the purpose of knowing another person's sexual identity? But let me finish.
Yeah.
If it's not for the premise of reproduction, and there's no need to relate outside of that, then I don't quite understand why we would need to question or.
So this is
or
what happens whenever you ask a transgender activist to explain even the basic premise of the movement, is they'll immediately say, well, who cares? Why are you so obsessed with this? I'm not obsessed with this. I'm not the one who started sending men into the women's bathroom. What is the premise of your movement? But they always deflect from that. They always withdraw from the debate. They always try to change the subject because there is no answer. So you ask me, well, what's the purpose of, why do you even care? What's the purpose of knowing someone's biological sex? Well, for starters, because we have civil rights specifically for women in the United States. We have special bathrooms for women. We have special sports leagues for women. We have all sorts of special places and rights and privileges and that are for women that are not for men. So if now some men, people who at the very least appear to be men, are claiming a right to go into those women's bathrooms, then we either have to abolish all of the special rights and privileges that have existed for women for all of human history and are enshrined in our law, or they need to explain to me how those men are actually women. And they can't do the latter, and I'm not willing to do the former, and I don't think women across this country are willing to do the former, even if a few people have been so ideologically blinded that they would give in to this kind of an absurdity.
She probably studied and wrote notes for days just to get torn apart in seconds by this guy. These people are so predictable, they just never have an answer. I love it when people try to counter this guy because they think they're more intelligent and more knowledgeable than him and fail miserably every time. I didn't even have a flipping clue what her question was until this guy answered it logically.
I'm a biologist. Are you saying that a woman is only a person who has two X chromosomes?
I think that's the scientific definition, yes.
It's actually not. You can be a woman with female genitalia and be XY.
You're talking about a very rare condition known as intersexed. What we're talking about in our culture are people with perfectly normal functioning sexual organs trying to have them removed and trying to transition to another gender, which is impossible scientifically. What I'm saying is the way out of that problem is not surgery according to the data. It's practically the same rate whether they have the surgery or not. My problem is with the children.
Is there a magic button at 18 that instantly makes you feel like you know who you are and absolutely what your gender is?
No, we've just chosen 18 kind of as the adulthood crossing point, although for some issues it's 21, like drinking. No, maybe it's later than 18.
Look, intersex is a real thing, but they're trying to throw that in the mix of these trans people, and they're trying to claim that, which is two completely different things here. The left is just trying to normalize the madness we see today. But I hope you enjoyed today's video, boys and girls. I'll see you in the next one. And let me know what your favourite clip was, or your least favourite for that matter.